He aimed a gun at me in broad daylight right there on my own street. The only problem, he didn't know the man he was aiming at had spent 10 years as a Navy SEAL trained to end fights before they start. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. I'd moved into Oak Ridge Meadows just a piece. After a decade overseas, I wanted quiet mornings, clean air, and a little space to breathe. What I didn't expect was an HOA that thought they were running a military base, especially the president, Tina Marsh. Tina wasn't just strict. She was obsessive. Everything had to meet her standard. Paint color, mailbox size, even the height of grass. The first week I moved in, she stopped me on the sidewalk and said, "We expect everyone here to follow the rules." I smiled, polite. "Ma'am, I've spent most of my life following rules. I'll be fine." She didn't like that. From that moment, I was marked. First came the citations. Improper storage of tools, unauthorized yard equipment. Then came the routine checks from her so-called HOA's security division. 2 men in tactical vests, sunglasses, and cheap radios. They weren't cops, but they acted like it. I told them once, "You step on my property again, and I'll have you charged for trespassing." The tall one, Mason, grinned. "We've got authority here, not over me," I said, and shut the door. That should have been the end of it. But people like them don't stop until someone reminds them where the line is. It was around 1 p.m. hot enough for the asphalt to shimmer. I was walking home from visiting a friend a block away. The neighborhood was quiet. Kids' bikes tipped over on lawns, sprinklers hissing. Then a white pickup rolled up fast, cutting across the curb to block my path. I didn't flinch. I've seen worse ways to die. The doors flew open. Mason jumped out on one side, his partner on the other, both wearing their ridiculous HOA security vests like they were gearing up for a raid. "Afternoon, sir," Mason called, voice dripping with smugness. "We've had reports you're violating property code. Got a minute to talk?" "Not today," I said, brushing past him. He stepped in front of me. The other one, twitchy and pale, rested his hand on his holster. That's when I saw it. A real gun, not airsoft, not plastic, real steel. "Don't move." The twitchy one barked. "We just need to ask a few questions." My hand slid behind my back, both wrapping around the Glock 19 tucked under my shirt. Legal, loaded, always there. I kept my tone even. "You're not police. You've got 3 seconds to move your hand off that weapon." They didn't. The barrel pointed straight at me, sunlight flashing off it like a signal flare. And in that frozen second, the world went quiet. My stance shifted, weight balanced, breath steady. I wasn't angry. I was focused. They thought they were about to scare a homeowner. They had no idea they'd just drawn down on a Navy SEAL. "Look," I said, hands still behind my back, fingertips tight on the Glock's grip beneath my shirt. My voice was calm, controlled. "We don't need this to get ugly. Move your hand off that holster and step back." The taller one, Mason, judging by the cheap plastic badge on his vest, gave a cocky grin. "You think this street's yours? You've been warned. HOA rules apply to everyone." The other one, pale and twitchy, shifted nervously beside him, one shaky hand, gun still pointed at me. He was scared. And scared men with guns are the most dangerous kind. "I'm not breaking any rule," I said evenly. "And you two aren't real cops. Take that toy badge off before you catch a felony for impersonation." Mason took another step, the asphalt crunching under his boots. "We're authorized by the president herself," he said. "You've been ignoring fines, ignoring warnings. That ends today." "By threatening people in the street?" I asked, my tone flat. "That's not enforcement. That's stupidity." The twitchy one cut in. "We can do this the easy way or the hard way," he said, voice shaking so badly it almost made me pity him. "You really don't want the hard way," I warned, keeping my breathing steady, watching both sets of hands. "Drop the gun, walk away, and no one gets hurt." Mason scoffed. "He's bluffing. Look at him. Hands behind his back like he's scared." He wasn't wrong about my stance, but he had no idea what those hands were doing. My finger brushed the trigger guard, the motion rehearsed thousands of times before. When the twitchy one jerked his arm up, that half-second of reckless motion, instinct took over. 3 shots cracked through the quiet afternoon. The first caught his shoulder, spinning him sideways. The second hit his leg, collapsing him onto the pavement. The third shattered the gun from his grasp. He fell back, gasping. Alive, but finished. Mason froze for half a heartbeat before charging. Big mistake. I sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, twisted, and drove my elbows straight into his ribs. Once, twice. He screamed, tried to push away, but I kept pressure, pivoted, and slammed him to the ground. The sound that followed was ugly, bone giving way. "Stay down," I ordered, breath steady. "Don't move." He didn't. He couldn't. One arm pinned under him, ribs caved. He gasped for air like the world had just gone quiet. Neighbors were already appearing. Porch doors opening, camera phones raised. Someone shouted, "Call the cops." Another yelled, "They've got guns." I stepped back slowly, Glock still low, muzzle pointed toward the ground. "Weapon secure," I said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Self-defense." They pulled first. Mason moaned beside his partner, who lay bleeding but conscious. "We were just doing our job," he rasped. "Yeah," I said coldly. "Impersonating officers isn't a job. It's a crime." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. I holstered the Glock, lifted my hands, and waited. The fight was over. At least for me. For them, it was just beginning. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe, because the story is only going to get better. 3 cruisers roared down the street, tires screeching, lights flashing off every window in the neighborhood. Within seconds, officers surrounded me, guns drawn, hands where we can see them. One barked. I raised them slow, calm as ever, weapons holstered, licensed and safe, I said. 2 suspects down, 1 armed, 1 restrained. They're not real law enforcement. The first officer approached, sweeping my Glock from its holster and handing it to another deputy. "Stay right there," he ordered. "Trust me," I said quietly. "I'm not going anywhere." They cuffed me. Standard procedure. While paramedics swarmed the 2 on the ground. Mason was curled near the curb, clutching his ribs, his breath broken and shallow. The smaller one, the gunman, had a bullet through his shoulder and a shattered thigh. He kept groaning, muttering something about Karen, sending them. Sheriff Daniels arrived minutes later. An older man with the kind of experience that sees through chaos fast. He studied the scene than me. "You the homeowner?" "Yeah," I said. They confronted me at gunpoint. Claimed they were enforcing HOA rules. He glanced at the 2 men. "They're wearing fake badges." "Exactly. And if I hadn't fired, one of us wouldn't be standing here." Daniels nodded, already reading the room. "We'll verify your permit, but it looks clean." While the medics loaded the suspects onto stretchers, I noticed Mason wheeze when they lifted him. "He's got at least 3 broken ribs," one paramedic said. "Possible lung bruise." Good. He'd live, but he'd remember. As the officers took statements from the neighbors, Sheriff Daniels motioned me aside. "You handled that better than most trained men would." "You military?" I hesitated, then gave a small nod. "Navy SEAL, still active reserve." That earned a low whistle. "Explains the precision," he said. "Next time, call us first." Next time, I replied. They won't get the chance. By the following morning, the story had already spread through the neighborhood. Every porch camera, every cell phone video, all of it told the same story. Two fake HOA cops attempting to threaten a homeowner, one armed, both taken down in self-defense. The investigation was quick. Both men were charged with impersonating law enforcement, aggravated assault, criminal trespass, and attempted armed intimidation. The gunman spent 2 weeks in the hospital, shoulder reconstructed, thighs stabilized with rods. Mason's injuries were worse. 3 cracked ribs, 1 punctured lung, and a permanent nerve injury that left him with a limp. During questioning, both confessed that HOA President Karen Marsh had promised them a bonus for scaring me into compliance. Turns out she'd been using her position to bully homeowners who refused to pay bogus fines. The DA filed conspiracy and solicitation charges against her. She resigned before the first court date. 2 weeks later, the news came in, and the gunman received 6 years in state prison, fined $30,000, and spent 2 weeks in the hospital after surgery on his shoulder and thigh. While Mason got 4 years in prison, fined $25,000, and spent 9 days hospitalized with 3 broken ribs, a punctured lung, and permanent nerve damage that left him unable to return to work. Karen Marsh, the HOA president who hired them, was charged with conspiracy, solicitation, and abuse of authority. She received 18 months in county jail, $50,000 in fines, and was permanently banned from serving on any HOA board. When the sheriff came by later to hand me the official report, he smirked. "You're cleared," he said. "Completely justified use of force." "Good," I said, looking toward the street where it happened. "Maybe next time she'll think twice before hiring thugs to do her dirty work," he chuckled. "Word is half the HOA just quit." "Then it's already a better neighborhood," I said. What do you think, folks? Was that justice, or just me doing what any man would have done? Tell me in the comments. What would you have done if fake HOA cops pointed a gun at you in your own neighborhood? The end.